In a vast wasteland of entertainment where radio has become obsolete, stands an embittered man teetering at the edge of sanity. With help from radio friends, he's about to embark on a global mission that would change the course of history as we know it. Broadcasting live from the secret studios on the banks of the Brandywine River in Delaware is Mitchell K.C. Hill. And up to the Great White North in Vancouver is Alexander Knight.
Yo ho ho, and a bottle of whatever it is you like. In my case, it's lemonade. That's my day-to-day drink. I used to drink Coca-Cola constantly, and it's a fine beverage, but it took me years to get over it. It's like I was addicted to it, literally. It was the hardest thing I ever gave up, and I gave up a lot of stuff in my 70 years. So what are you going to do? Welcome to show number 47. Dyslexic. Transposing the words. Maybe I should start the whole show over again, but this is the best I can do. We're here at show number 47. We're getting darn close to 50, which means we're going to have some kind of a 50th anniversary thing. So, Alex, do you have any comments about that? What are we going to plan? Anything special for the 50th show of all? It's not like 50th anniversary. So the 50th show special. Alex?
You know, I would love to, first of all, good to be here, Mitch. It would be, speaking of starting the show over, it'd be nice if you actually introduced yourself and told everybody who you are.
Oh, I forgot to do that?
You didn't do that today, but it's okay. Most people know who you are. I'm Alexander Knight, and I'm joined with Mitch Hill here. It's good to be back for episode 47. We got some new people in the chat watching the show today, so whether or not you've been lurking for a while and just haven't commented, or if it's your first time, thanks so much for being here. This is The Last Angry DJ, where we interview luminaries in the broadcast world, everyone from radio engineers to salespeople, independent business owners, ex-DJs, that sort of thing, and content creators as well. This is the show that intersects new media and old media, and we're going to be talking a lot about new media today, and it should be an interesting conversation.
Yeah, I say we have a lot of new people because they're all TikTok refugees. Like, have you tried to go to TikTok today? They got like a little disclaimer to say, well, the new president is working on something to, it's become political, whether or not we get it back. And I'm not even sure why it went away. I mean, I know there was controversy, and it went up before the Congress and the Senate, and it became a political football. It got bounced around. But TikTok is very important to a lot of people. Younger people watch it more than I do. I don't use TikTok. I'm not into TikTok or the birdie thing, tweet, X, whatever it's called. So what is the significance, Alex, since you're the techie guy here, of TikTok being eliminated, at least for now, from the United States? It may not affect you in Canada.
It certainly doesn't affect us here in Canada because we still have the app. But we also, it's interesting, and I don't know too much about it, but TikTok, or I should say ByteDance, the company that owns TikTok, they also released a new app, I think a few months back, called TikTok Notes, or maybe it's been out for longer and I just discovered it recently. But that app, interestingly, is only available in Canada, but not available in the United States. I'm not entirely certain why, but it's obviously going to have a big impact on creators if TikTok is permanently going away. To be honest with you, my personal feeling is I'm not going to miss it. It's just one more platform that I need to create content for and cross post to. And I'm gonna get to why I think Instagram is super important right now. But it does affect a lot of content creators, people that make money from that platform. Of course, they've had time. We've had time. We've known about this for a long time, about a year now. They gave ByteDance notice that this was going to happen. So a lot of content creators have been working hard to move their whole audience, their whole platform over to Instagram. And let's face it, Facebook copied TikTok with Reels a long time ago, and it's more or less the same experience. Now, the algorithm in the feed obviously is different, and a lot of people still think that TikTok has some kind of special sauce with their algorithm, that they're able to surface videos better and you get more engagement. My personal experience, this is one person's experience, I've had far more success building an audience on Instagram than TikTok for my client. His podcast, he has a lot more people on Instagram than TikTok. So I think we're going to continue to focus on Instagram. So I'm not going to be sad to get it away, for it to go away. I don't have any inside knowledge. I don't really want to speak to the whole national security thing. I know where the United States stands with its relationship with China, and let's face it, Canada's relationship with China is also strained and tenuous as well. And we're at a very precarious crossroads because so much manufacturing of products that we rely on and so much of our business and why companies exist is because of manufacturing in China. And if that door is closed on us, or if we see astronomical tariffs, that's going to spell disaster for a lot of reasons. So it's going to be interesting the next 6 months. We'll see what happens.
Just say bye to it. Say bye-bye. No, yeah. I still have my MySpace account and my AOL account. Now, not many people respond to it anymore, but apparently it's an age thing. So, the old people are on Facebook. That's me. The younger folks are on Instagram, and TikTok sort of sits in there somewhere in between. And wasn't TikTok, it started out, is that you had to do some crazy dancing move or some other crazy stuff, dance like nobody's watching, and then it evolved into a quick video. I noticed TikTok shows up. TikTok shows up a lot in Facebook. I was going to say fascinating book, but Facebook. So, the whole thing about the Chinese owning it, I think that's a little bit of a black eye to our tech industry here. And the whole privacy thing is an issue yet to be resolved. And to be honest with you, I'm really personally not concerned so much about privacy and what they know. I mean, there's so many, even Apple got spanked over Siri apparently monitoring a little more than it should have, and it's finding out things about people. Why do people have so many secrets? What is this, C-Tech?
That's a fair question, I think, Mitch. Do I feel uncomfortable that a Chinese company owns personal data? Yes, but frankly, there's not a lot that they know about me. I mean, they know my name, they know my email address, they have my IP address, they know where I am, but they don't really know that much about me as a person. So obviously a lot of concerns are about the algorithm, whether or not they would be able to influence selections. But the reality is, like, this stuff happens on other platforms. It happened on Facebook. It happens on other social media platforms. And it's not going to be any different there. I'm not really worried about it. Like I said, I don't really care if TikTok goes away or not. I'm
with you.
I don't really see any there's a lot of goofy content on there, and I don't really browse a lot of the content
Let
on there.
Let them know what they want to know.
I don't really care.
I'm with you on that. I think people are upset just to be upset about it. And I think we've gone a little too far with the whole woke movement and all that, and maybe things will settle down. The people are just tired of hearing about all those, your rights are being, affected by. And now I'm drifting into politics, but the point of it is, what could they possibly want to know about me that I really care about? Now, if I were a terrorist, or if I was doing inside trading with stock, or doing other nefarious things illegally, right, then I would be concerned. So what does that mean? Bad people are upset about having their information shared? I say open the floodgates and let the NSA and the government know, NSA here in the U.S., know everything they want to know about us, because if it makes it safer for all of us, I'm all for it. But then again, there are other people that have opposing points of view.
Well, I'm not for that at all, because that's a slippery slope of slowly, and
are you a bank robber or a drug dealer?
We're slowly eroding privacy. I think we need to hang on to and cherish that whole fundamental privacy thing. But what I will say, without getting
Alex, I'm sorry, but people can't help themselves. They can't help themselves talking. People take pictures of the meals that they eat on Facebook. I know. I'm just putting a side note in. Go ahead.
Let me finish my thought. So the thing is with TikTok is where do we stop? Where do we draw the line? Do we now? So we don't let TikTok in. We don't let ByteDance products in, but we let other Chinese companies in. So that's where I thought, like, this doesn't make any sense. Why are we only picking on TikTok? Why do we allow any Chinese software developer to release any apps in the App Store that collect personal data? So it's like, if you're going to ban them, ban them all, right? Where do you stop? And the other thing, this is a big wake up call for content creators, is you can't put all your eggs in one basket. If you are, and I've seen this time and time again, where people build entire businesses on one platform. Now, whether that's TikTok or another platform, look what happened with Twitter. When Twitter was sold to Elon Musk and they rebranded it, he revoked access to their APIs. And suddenly all the people that were building applications based on Twitter's pipeline on their data, they were just instantly, their business went away overnight. And that is just a complete disaster. So if you're a content creator, you got to find out other ways to make money. You got to look at merchandise. You got to look at other platforms that are just not reliant. And look, YouTube is a great partner for a lot of creators, but I would say you shouldn't just rely on Google either. You should have other sources of revenue, because anything can happen. Companies are sold left, right, and center all the time, and that new owner can do whatever the hell they want.
I'd like people to weigh in on this. So go to YouTube and put your comments in there, because we'd like
Please
to hear
do.
more me input. I mean, we are talking about social media here.
And
we're
you can
talking
ask
about
questions,
YouTube.
by the way. You can ask questions on YouTube. We'll pop that into Mukana, or you can go to ask.thelastangrydj.com to ask questions. That's ask.thelastangrydj.com.
And the point that's being raised right now is, I'm going to take the position that I don't really care if it makes the world a safer place and they want to know more about me. They can listen to me snore at night or utter, disconcerting thoughts about what's on TV or whatever. My life's an open book. I say, the heck with it. If they're looking for somebody, come on. Here's my whole life. In fact, this show is probably a good place for them to know more, if anything that they want to know. Or they can go to my MySpace account and find out, or go to Facebook. I'm in all those places, and I don't care.
A little too much? Do you think people know a little too much on this show about
I
you?
say that if you're concerned about your privacy, give them everything. Give them everything. Take it into the bathroom when you go in there. Let them hear how many flushes. The Chinese want to know how many times you flush the toilet. Do you do a courtesy flush? Are you doing number 2? Do you get to hear every? I mean, it's like, where do you draw the line? Like you said, there's some place where you got to say that. And I honestly believe that this data of all kinds, what did you eat? What do you think? What's your political beliefs? What music you like to listen to? I think that's fair game to everybody that you care to share it with. And if you share it with some people and not others, I don't think that's necessarily a good thing. I'd say share it with everybody. Let them know. And I understand, Alex, but I think that data is the future commodity that we're all going to trade on, the information that's being gathered.
And it's interesting. Just Florence in the chat too is saying that I've never looked at TikTok and look at Facebook about twice a year. Well, Florence, I think you're probably in the minority, but you know what? You're not the only one. I think that's a growing trend I see. I talk to a lot of people, friends, family, coworkers, and more people seem to be spending less and less time on social media. I think, frankly, a lot of people are just burnt out, and they also realize how addicting it is and how unhealthy it is to have your face buried in your cell phone. I see this all the time. People have legitimate problems stepping away and just, like you go out to dinner, or you go out with friends. It's like, can we just put our phones down for a second and just be in it? Let's just enjoy this moment. We can't go to a concert. You paid money to see a band, and you're pulling. Look, I'm guilty of this too. You're pulling your phone out in low light and capturing this crappy looking video with bad sound. What are you going to do? You're going to look at that 6 months from now? It's like, we just need to put the phones down sometimes too. And look, I spend a lot of time. I would say I'm probably a little too addicted to social media. I look at Instagram. I mean, I lose count. I pick up my phone so many times and just scroll and scroll and scroll and scroll. It's a problem.
Yeah, I get a little bug that twitches in my head every once in a while. I got to check my Facebook account to see if anybody liked my comment. Was I funny? Did I piss somebody off and they have a negative comment? Or I get stuck on Facebook has this thing now where you get stuck on these shorts. They line up the shorts, and I swear they're all TikTok bits.
Well,
And
you can
go in and
cross
you look
post
at,
to there.
yeah, you hit one, and then they give you a bunch of them. You just follow them, and it's like I obviously I've told Facebook somehow that I like corgis, because I'm going to get another corgi dog. So now all I see are corgi videos, funny corgi videos.
Well, it's like it's the mouse waiting for the food pellet. It becomes an addiction. You're just it's a, what do they call it?
Some mechanisms going on there.
It's a Pavlovian response. You're going to start salivating, right? You're just going to keep getting caught in that loop.
Hold on, I got to mop down here a little bit. It's just I want to go over to my.
You
know what we should do is just like I should go right to my Facebook page right now, bring it up, let everybody know what the people that I'm hanging out with. Well, Alex happens to be on the account, and a bunch of people from office hours.
Someone named the Stubborn Rock in the chat says, "Sounds like two bickering old men. Get off my lawn." Yeah, well, you're probably not wrong there. The Stubborn Rock, but I'd be curious to hear from people.
Yeah, with a name like Stubborn Rock, who the hell do you think you are?
Yeah, let us know what your daily routine is. Do you look at social media? Do you look at Facebook, X, TikTok? Do you participate in that stuff? Like how do you carve time for people and not become addicted?
Do you wake up in the middle of the night and you just have this compelling urge to go over and check your computer? Doesn't have to be your phone, but it might as well be the phone. And I do that. I'll wake up in the middle of the night, do my old guy stuff, and then I'll go over and I'll check the computer. And before I know it, an hour and a half has gone by because I'm looking at all these crazy videos of people doing silly things. Or, it's addictive. Let's face it. It truly is. And I don't think you can stop that. I don't think that the government can legislate it away. Or it is the cat is out of the bag. Again, one of those colloquialisms. The cat got out of the bag. It's not going to be put back in there. So what is it going to be, the Elon Musk chip in your head, which he's serious about?
Yeah, no thanks.
He's serious about putting the chip into your head.
Yeah, no thanks. John Preto in the chat saying that, echoing our thoughts, what we talked about earlier, if you're a creator and you're trying to build a community, you cannot rely on the platform. I agree with you there, John. You have to create a list so you can directly reach that community, establish trust. I'm curious, John, do you mean a mailing list? I mean, are newsletters still valid and important? Like, do we need a mailing list for the Last Angry DJ? Let us know if you think we should get one.
Well, the same thing is, if you look at our Discord, we got a huge Discord list in there, and I doubt if everybody's into all the categories. Alex, why did we have things like what TV stations you're watching? What color is your favorite color? What band you just saw? I mean, there's so much in there. It's like you're kind of playing into this gathering information thing.
Right.
Are we trying to attract people there as a
Well,
I
think when I first started Discord, I don't think there's enough people in there that's why we don't really see a ton of people posting in there. But I just wanted Discord, the way I was trying to build it out, I was emulating what I see on a lot of my favorite Discord channels. So really just trying to build out the community and make it a fun place for people to talk about things they're interested in, share opinions and share things they're learning and things that they like, whether it's a TV show or maybe it's something that they learned how to do this week. I actually wish people would post in there more often. So it's not about collecting data. It's really just about getting us to talk to each other and just share things that we're interested in.
Yeah, I can see that. And that's cool. And everybody has their own way of doing that. But what's funny is that it's the meal du jour is like, okay, TikTok may be off the charts. There'll be something to come along to, replace it. Same with Facebook and Instagram and all the other things. It's whatever happened to, I would say MySpace it was the first, I guess, of the social media sharing areas, and it went away. Why? Why did it go away? What makes things popular enough so that it catches on? It's like our show. We've been doing this almost a year, and we have 151 subscribers as of right now. And that's not a huge number when you compare it to Mr. Beast and Joe Rogan and all the other guys that are out there. How did they, at one point they had that many, subscribers or followers, but how did they take off? Because I have a feeling it's like this for the longest time, like just a small number of, and boom.
Well, I think that's a unfair comparison, Mitch, because Joe Rogan was a celebrity. So he already had a much larger audience following the stuff that he was interested on, because he got, yes, he got to start as a comedian, but really he got notoriety when he became an actor and he was
He's
on
a
news
lousy
radio.
comedian. He's an even worse actor.
Well, okay, that's one
Shark
person's
Tank?
opinion. Everybody has an opinion about what
Okay.
they think is funny.
That's my opinion.
That aside, I think what we're talking about is we're talking about celebrities that had some kind of audience, and so for them to start a show, they're already going to be ahead of where you are with this show.
Well,
that's all I'm saying.
I used to be a radio celebrity. Maybe it's not as relevant as his examples are, but that I'm trading on that a little bit, saying I used to be on a big radio station in Philadelphia, and
Right.
the interesting part of what it is that I do from my point of view is that a lot has changed since then, and I've been out of the business for a long time, and I think people are curious about, well, what was radio like before social
Right.
media, or how did you pick the music that got played, or what did you do? Let me finish. Is that I think people are curious, and that would bring people in. And then the fact that you are here to provide a much different perspective from a more current and relevant point of view. And between the two of us, we start comparing notes like we are right now. What were you going to say?
Yeah, so I was just going to say that I think a big difference, and I acknowledge your career in radio, but I think a big difference between your path and somebody else's path is that a lot of people like Joe Rogan had a social media presence, and they spent years building that, whereas you have just ignored social media. So who's to say, had you jumped on Twitter 15 years ago, maybe some of those people would have followed you to this show, right? Maybe you would have had 20, 50, 100,000 followers.
I agree. I think you make a good point. I'm just saying that nobody has the exact formula to become successful, unless you're maybe a giant, already have a following, like you're a major actor, sports celebrity, newscaster, whatever, where they've got the exposure. It certainly gives you a lift. But we're kind of starting at the bottom. And you know what? I'm okay with that. I'm okay with the fact that we have 151 viewers and that our regular friends are here, whether it's John Preto or Hershey or Laura or whoever comes on to hang with us. They're our friends. And if we sort of build a little bubble of interest that we like to share on a regular basis, so be it, as long as we have something to contribute. And that's the thing, is that you have to at some point sit there and say to yourselves, and I think maybe it goes through, I don't know, put words in Alex's mind or mouth, but sometimes you have to wonder, well, are we really doing anything? Are we moving the needle somewhere? Are we getting something done? Are you enjoying what you're doing? I say yes to all those, but I can't speak for Alex. Alex, you have to speak for yourself.
Yeah, I will speak for myself. So I will say that I don't do things, well, I very selfishly do things because I just want to do it, right? So whether it's I feel that I have something to say, I have something to share or contribute, or also I learn from other people all the time. So I thought this was an interesting concept for a show, but ultimately I also look at doing this kind of thing as a way for me to also expand my knowledge, learn about new production techniques. I never used Mimo Live before doing this show. So just, me being better at my job, I think what we're doing here helps me be better at a lot of other things outside of what we do here. And by the way, I just wanted to mention that John Preto makes an important point too. He says Joe Rogan, it took him 6 years to create momentum. 6 years is a long time, Mitch. We're not even at the 1 year mark. So just keep that in mind too.
I'm not complaining. I'm just saying I have to examine, how did they get there? Where did they go? At one point, they had exactly the same number of listeners or viewers or followers as we do. Anybody. I don't care who you are. You could be the president of the United States. At some point, you're only going to have the same number of viewers, but you're going to gain a lot more as time goes on. So speaking of the president, I don't want to go super political, but I do want to bring this up as a point. How do you think things are going to change in the United States? You have the perspective of a Canadian who looks upon the United States as a bunch of cowboys or whatever you choose to characterize this as. How do you think things are going to change with a new president? How do you think that affects our interest, social media, broadcasting, all those things. You have an opinion?
I want to be really careful with this. Well, it's going things. No doubt when there's a new person running the country and a new team, that is they're going to have different policies and they're going to want to do things differently. So naturally, things will be different. I don't know exactly what direction it will go, but Canada historically has always had really strong relationships with, or a strong relationship with the United States. So I want to be optimistic that things will be good at least between our two countries, and will continue to be. Right now, I'm really concerned about how manufacturing in China will be affected and how that's going to affect businesses, not just in the United States, but in Canada too, because a lot of things are made there. So that's all. I don't want to go too far down the road of predicting what's going to happen with a new regime.
Yeah, I'm with you on that, and I understand. First of all, nobody really knows, because the incoming president is likely to do just about anything, and all of them will be surprising. I figure that the government will run pretty fine, regardless of what happens. And there'll be some, sound bites out there that'll be bombastic and crazy. But, maybe you need a little entertainment. I'll give everybody some advice that's worked really well for me. Stop watching the news. Stop making it part of your everyday thing and being concerned about every single little thing that happens in the news, because most of the time what they do in news now, they don't report the news, they prognosticate, or they come on and give opinions. Nothing's happened yet, but all they want to know is from when they bring these pundits in, well, what do you think's going to happen? It might be, it's going to be. Everybody just calm down and just relax, and if something happens, fine. And the way I treat news is, I'll just make it quick and then I'll shut up. Mm-hmm. Is unless it affects me personally or my friends or other people that I may know, or maybe something that I feel strongly about, like how they treat animals, things like that, whatever. I could give a damn about what's going on in the news. So go ahead.
Yeah, that's a fair point. I think I will wrap this up with saying that we all tend to have human beings are very emotional. We tend to have very knee-jerk reactions to things. And so sometimes, and I even catch myself with this sometimes, and I'm trying to be better at just take a deep breath, just exhale, and just go, let's just wait and see what happens.
Yeah.
Like I'm not gonna make any rash decisions. I'm not going to engage in moral panic mode and delete all my social media accounts because of one little change Mark Zuckerberg's decided to do, or that Elon Musk has decided to do.
It's not healthy.
It's just not a good way to go through life. And I just think we just need to take a step back for a minute and let's just see how things play out, and make an educated decision about how we want to proceed for ourselves, what we think is good for ourselves once we actually see that change.
Yeah, I think you and I agree 100%. Maybe we're saying it a little differently, but
sure,
we're both agreeing about it. It's just everybody relax. Relax. The world isn't coming to an end. And if it does, hopefully we won't know about it in advance so that they can put it up on CNN or C-SPAN or whatever. Well, the giant Apophis asteroid is supposed to come close to the Earth below where our satellites are. What does that even mean? That it's going to skim the atmosphere and continue on its way and then come back 30 years later and destroy the planet? I mean, all that stuff, if it's God's will, it'll happen. So like you say, Alex, it's like I'm getting to be a news guy now, so I don't want to get everybody upset and crazy. But some of the things that have happened in this past week or comments that I've heard, I will admit that I do like watching Bill Maher, and he came back from his long vacation, and he sort of advocates what we're saying is calm down, relax. And, he's made no question about it, that he has issues about the hierarchy in our government, things like that. He's basically saying, everybody's calm down. Calm down. And the people on the left, calm down. People on the right, calm down. Let's do a record, a hip-hop song. Calm down. A little on the right, on the left. Everybody calm down. That could have been a good TikTok, by the way. But not going to see it. What would happen if you use ChatGPT to write your love letter for Valentine's Day? That's coming up. And I'm wondering how good a job ChatGPT would do. What do you think it would say? Would it say, well, he has a propensity for enjoying conversations about taking long walks, holding hands, or would it be much juicier than that? I mean, what do you suppose? Come on, John Preto. What do you think ChatGPT would write a love letter to your significant other for Valentine's Day? I think we should make that as a challenge, and we should let ChatGPT come on the show and say, I think it would be funny as hell to see. Some would be very logical and stoic, and the others would be crazy, should be on the Playboy channel kind of stuff.
The funny thing about AI is that stuff is changing so rapidly, week to week, month to month, that, the next day you look at it and it's something completely else. And there's new, much more advanced models for ChatGPT that you have to kind of pay for to have access to it. But what's the new one? ChatGPT 1.0 or whatever they're calling it is significantly more advanced, and there's even more advanced model that they've got coming later this year. So it's astonishing what it's able to do, and I'm finding that I'm using services like ChatGPT every single day in my life. I'm using it to it is immensely helping me out. And just getting answers to general questions, even asking it for recommendations, like here's my favorite author. Can you recommend other books in a similar genre by other authors?
I like that idea.
It's like it's just unbelievable how useful it is. Are you using ChatGPT, Mitch? What do you use that stuff for?
I keep checking to see if it's got on my porn site yet, but they haven't caught on yet. But it'll be big. It'll be huge. It'll be the most amazing thing you ever saw when ChatGPT is running Pornhub.
Right.
Like I said, there's so much material there. Let's face it. What do people use the internet for? Come on. Hey, by the way, just as a quick side note, if I should expire, unbeknownst to anybody, could you please come in and erase my browser history here? Can you make that promise to me? Somebody, please.
Well, here's a tip, Mitch. Private browsing mode. There's something called private browsing mode, and it will not retain anything that you do. So use that for the stuff that you don't want people to know about.
Now that makes me want to build an app that can break private browsing mode and make it available to everybody on TikTok.
Right. Okay, so let's loop back to AI just for a quick second.
All right, back to AI. Let's go.
I want to bring John Preto into the chat about this because he's mentioning that, yes, ChatGPT 03 is the latest, most advanced model. One thing that I've always kind of laughed in the face of people that keep saying this, that, our AGI is just around the corner. I think that's quite a ways away, but now
I'm sorry to interrupt.
So
AGI.
Sure.
AGI.
Yeah, so artificial, so that's artificial general intelligence.
Okay, that's a smart computer.
So I think we may be close at the rate that things are advancing, and I'm curious what John thinks. John, how soon do you think we will get artificial general intelligence? Are we a year away? Are we 5 years away? I think it's less than 10 years at this rate. Definitely less than 10 years. But it's astonishing at how fast it's able to learn, and it's making less and less mistakes every single day. So
what do they call that?
We'll see what happens.
When it has a mistake, it's hallucinating. When it does crazy stuff.
I hate that term, by the way. It drives me crazy when people
I didn't make
say
it up. I'm just
the
repeating
AI
it. So
is
don't shoot the messenger.
How about we just say it's just made a mistake? It's a mistake. Call a spade a spade. It's not hallucinating.
Can't use that term
Let's
anymore.
Not make it a euphemism. A euphemism,
Don't use those big words around me. But I you know what? I'm kind of like waiting for the bloopers, the ChatGPT bloopers. There's got to be a sort. Come on, John Preto. There's got to be like incredible bloopers when it's made huge errors. I get a kick out of these AI-based voiceover things you see when you watch a TikTok video or something on YouTube, and it has a pretty realistic voice. But I was watching one where it was talking about Dan Aykroyd, and it was called Dan Aykroyd, and it kept saying when Aykroyd did this, I kept saying it's Aykroyd, and I was literally pissed off at the AI voice it was doing it, but it makes some unbelievable errors on pronunciation.
It
It's
does.
just it's fun. It's fun to see it. So I think
John,
bloopers.
and John says that he said that ChatGPT did write a great birthday card for his wife until she read it and said, "Who wrote this?"
Well, it would be sort of like roses are red, violets are blue. Or he loves me not. It matters little. I'm all he's got. Hey, look, I got a couple
Right.
stored back here in
Yeah.
my dyslexic brain.
And
That
he
I
has
could
an
pop out.
interesting, also another interesting thing to add that Ray Kurzweil predicted in
Kurzweil.
1999 that AGI
It's Kurzweil.
would Kurzweil.
Kurzweil.
I'm sorry,
He's
I
a
mispronounced it.
famous Kurzweil instrument, so you should know him from that too.
So he predicted that AGI would come in 2029, which is oddly specific, and it's not that far away. John, do you know how did he predict that? Because I haven't heard of that. I know who Ray is, but I'm wondering how he came. What formula did he use? How did he come to that conclusion that 2029, to be precise, would be the year that we're getting AGI? That's very, very interesting.
Yeah, and while he's figuring out how to answer that, what about Nostradamus? He's made some famous predictions that are hundreds, maybe what? How long? 500 or 500 years? When was the Renaissance? When he did all that? A lot of those predictions came true. And there's a lot of
people thought he was a hack,
telepsychics.
but I don't know.
I don't know. There's a lot of stuff. So if I had, if you use a quantum computer, which is supposed to be exceedingly great at doing some things and really bad at doing other things, is that how AI is going to be, or AGI as you call it? Will it be really, really good at doing some things, like writing poetry, or really bad at doing impressionist art, things like that? I don't know. I don't know how that all works. Quantum physics is a huge mystery to me.
Yeah,
Because the idea of quantum is like it can be multiple things at one time. I don't know.
I just want very basics done well. I don't need it to write poetry. I just want a very reliable personal assistant that I can have a conversation with, because Siri on my iPhone is so dumb. And one thing I will say that Apple did well is I'm glad that they have ChatGPT integration in iOS now, where if I ask something to Siri and Siri doesn't know how to answer that, it will say, "Do you want me to use ChatGPT to get an answer for this?" And it almost always has to go to ChatGPT, because Siri is just horrible. It doesn't work. So I just want a personal assistant that I can have a conversation with that gives me good information. And we're still not, that's why I use ChatGPT more than anything, because you can, if you use their app, you can go into conversation mode and you continue to ask follow-up questions and it will answer those follow-up questions. It's much more intelligent than Siri is. So
I don't deserve to make any comment about ChatGPT because I have never used it. Now, I'm not saying I'll never will.
Not once. You haven't used it once.
Not even one time. I'm just going to try to hold out as long as I can and say, hey, look, I can live my life without having to interface with ChatGPT. And the other thing is, help me out here, because I'm the old guy, okay? Apple just pushed out a release on my software update, and it says it's offering for me to install an Apple Intelligence into my... Now, it sounds like I'd be stupid if I didn't use it, but I have no idea what that really means. Is that Apple's version
I can tell you.
of ChatGPT? Please help me out here.
So Apple Intelligence is a new feature that they've kind of been doing this drip rollout thing with iOS 18.2, but some of the features that are on iOS are now making its way into Mac OS. So Apple Intelligence is basically, Apple doesn't want to say AI, so they're branding it Apple Intelligence. But so some of those features like the Chat GPT integration is now, in Mac OS. I think Sequoia 15.2 is what introduced that. And also things like Image Playground, which is an app on iOS that allows you to give it a prompt and it can create artwork and it can create images based on those prompts, which Chat GPT can do. They're trying to do their own thing. The interesting thing with Image Playground is all the processing is being done on the processor,
cloud, right?
on the device. It's not being done in the cloud.
Oh, really? That's pretty cool.
No, it's not. It's all being done on device securely. Now, what they are going to be rolling out supposedly later this year, because Apple has had to build its own data centers. So they're going to have a secure cloud where if Siri needs to reach out to the cloud to get more for more additional processing, it will be able to do this in a secure way. That is not, from what I understand, that is not live yet, but that will be rolling out later this year. So in Mac OS, if you upgrade to 15.2, if you turn on Apple Intelligence, there's a new option in the, I think it's in the menu bar at the top right, where you can just give it prompts. You can ask it questions. It'll give you answers. You can tell it to create images based on prompts. So it does a lot of that type of stuff.
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now, and you have to turn it on. Essentially everybody's opted out of it, which is not the Microsoft way. The Microsoft way, but we're going to give it to you whether you want it or not. And all of a sudden now, all your shortcuts and things that you did on your Windows machine are gone, and it's all wizards and little apps. And I'm glad that Apple is asking me to turn it on. Frankly, I don't think I need it. Maybe they'll convince me somewhere that I need Apple Intelligence. And you say, is that making Siri smarter? About,
well,
Siri being
is in
able
a
to
sense
respond better?
it's not changing Siri, but Siri is now able to interface with ChatGPT. So, like I said, if you ask a complex question, Siri will just say, "Would you like me to go to ChatGPT to get that answer for you?"
Well, doesn't Google now, whenever you Google something, it seems that the answer that comes back is actually some kind of LLM.
I don't know if there's any
that's answering.
To be honest, Mitch, I stopped using Google quite a few years ago. I use DuckDuckGo as a search engine because it doesn't track you like Google does. And frankly, a couple of times I've gone back to Google and I find that the search results have degraded over the years. Google's gotten a lot worse. And I think DuckDuckGo is just as good, if not better now than Google. So no, I don't know. That hasn't been my experience because I haven't really been utilizing it. And to be honest with you,
I'm not using anything with the word
search,
duck in
Google
it.
search and traditional search engines, quite frankly, seem incredibly quaint and archaic in comparison, because I'm using ChatGPT every day. I'm really spoiled. A lot of the things I would go to Google for, I just use ChatGPT now. Even questions, like I'll ask it questions about movies and actors, like, well, I remember this actor was in this movie and it was about this, but I can't remember the title, and it will tell me the exact movie. So and Google's not good for that at all.
Well, according to John Preto, if I'm using Google, basically I'm using Google's version of ChatGPT called Gemini. So
That's
apparently
cool.
I
Yeah,
have
there you
used
go.
ChatGPT now.
There you go.
It's out.
Well,
It's
a version,
newsworthy.
it's its own thing.
I may be using it, not knowing it. Okay, that's fine. What the heck? I don't care about that. So I think a really good app. I don't need more computers telling me what to do or whatever. I would wish that one would come out for Netflix that would tell me what I really should be watching. Because I really hate when I think about using Netflix and I pay for it, and I'll go to it and go, oh, do I have a half an hour to spend searching so deep into all these choices? Is there an app that can do this for me? An app that knows me? Like, I don't like subtitled movies. I don't like ones that have been dubbed because I get screwed up with the lip sync. It drives me crazy. And when I see subtitles at the bottom, I have to read them. So I miss completely what's happening on the screen. I'm reading the subtitles, literally. It's
See,
just my eyes just concentrate on it.
Yeah, so I don't like, generally, unless it's done well, because I watch anime and I do watch foreign films, I don't like dubs. I actually would rather watch a Japanese film in the original Japanese because I love the Japanese language.
I'm with you on it.
And with subtitles. I don't like dubs in general, but there are some edge cases. Anime used to be really bad 25, 30 years ago with a lot of dubs, but the dubs have gotten better, and but I still prefer the original Japanese actors with the subtitles. So but that's just me.
Some of the stuff that I'm sorry, I was getting crazy. I was told somewhere that the crazier I act, the more views we'll get on the show. Do you guys agree with that, viewing public? Do you really think that Mitch has to be crazier than I already am in order to generate people to watch? Okay, I know Alex says no because Alex is reserved, and I think we just need to have the complete opposite spectrum, the other side of the brain speaking once in a while. So let me be the left hemisphere. What is the left one known for? The left one does one thing, and the right, I don't know. I'd have to ask ChatGPT.
I'm not
I have
sure.
no idea. Some craziness. But we were thinking of using the sound effects more. People have said that they have mixed emotions about it. They said I went too crazy with it, so I backed off because I'm going to listen to what people have to say. And the other thing is maybe some visuals, like when I talk about, hit the subscribe button. Maybe it needs to. I've noticed that even Joe Rogan does subscribe, and then the thing jumps around the screen, and you see a giant hand come in, a la Monty Python, and trigger the subscribe button. It's just like I just want to add more to it. To have it make sense. I don't know. But if there is one thing that I would ask people to do is, first of all, interact more with us. And Alex will tell you over and over exactly how to do that. But spend more time commenting about, be our friend. Don't feel left out that there seem to be other people that are quick with questions and answers. No question is too big. No question is too small. No question can be too stupid. Put it in there, and we'll get some entertainment value out of that and answer them. And that's the purpose of doing a live show on Sundays. Yet it gets turned into an audio only. But Alex, you know how to tell them to, interact, be involved, ask questions, make comments.
Well, I'll plug that right now. I'll go over that right now. We usually leave for the end of the show. I'm not sure if everybody here is in our Discord. John, I can't remember. Did you join our Discord? I'm going to leave the QR code up on the screen for a little bit, but we need more people to chat with us in the Discord. It's a little quiet in there, but that is one way that you can chat with us on the show or after the show as well during the week. And also another way that you can reach out is, of course, on social media. We're pretty much everywhere by the same name as well.
Well, there's one question: is why do we want people to chat with us? Are we so? It's because we have an opinion on things up to a point, but we really need talking points, and that's coming from you. Yeah,
I like getting input from people.
Absolutely, and again, no question is too crazy, and we don't care where you go with it, because as you probably learned already, the idea of the Last Angry DJ, especially the broadcast Boffins version, which is what we're doing right now, we can cover any subject. And because anything pretty much touches on media, social media, communications, entertainment, we cover all those bases, and we bounce back and forth. Next week, for example, I'll plug it too. Rod Ancampura, who has a program called the A Team, sorry, Rob. It's A something. He's going to be one of our guests. He's got a mature podcast where he talks to a lot of people on a regular basis, and I think it's A-Team, like the TV series without the actors who are now probably dead. So what are you going to do? So that'll be coming next week, and you can find out how I can properly pronounce his last name and properly pronounce his podcast. But he actually requested to come on, and I was like, yeah, I'm all for it, because I used to work with him at a local radio station. So I'm interested in what he's learned, because he's been at this a whole lot longer than we have. And I was telling Alex before the show came on today that I was asking some of the big five radio owners that own like iHeart and Beasley Broadcast, which fired our good friend Andre Gardner, asking him to come on the show. Let's hear your side of the story. You're a publicly traded corporation whose objective is to make as much money. So you're going to make decisions that aren't going to necessarily be popular to the common people, but maybe popular to your bottom line and your investors. They all have a reason for doing what they're doing. They're not stupid. So I'll give them a chance to speak their point of view. And I've reached out to them. But Alex, what do you give me chances that any one of those CEOs will come on our tiny little podcast? Is it a teeny tiny little? We need ChatGPT to guess.
Probably a pretty small chance.
Like 1%.
We probably want. We
0.005?
probably need them more than they need us. Put it that way.
Well, that's always the case. But anyhow, I promise if any of them happen to see this, and we do get, we are being seen by a lot of people some that participate in the program, others are just curious about what we're going to talk about. We are being seen, and the reason that we want to do it is not necessarily to put you on the hot seat. We want you to be able to or educate people and explain to them. Maybe this is the only place you get that opportunity to do that, to explain what's going on. Like, why did you fire our good friend Andre Gardner over at MGK in Philadelphia? And they just recently fired another friend of mine, Eric Johnson, who was the program director. What's going on? I mean, we want to understand what's going on, because now that the floodgates are open, this seems to be a regular repeating thing. And it's not just here in the U.S. It's happening in Canada. It's happening in other parts of the world. That radio is reconfiguring itself. It's going to be a different beast down the road. Let's speculate. You know, we're speculators. We like speculating about what's going to happen to the broadcast industry. And we usually have Mark Giuliani on the show to represent the small owner point of view. And he's very busy because tomorrow's the inauguration here in the US of A, and they're doing it in the Capitol, and he's got some remote broadcasting stuff going on. So I want to get into the politics of it all. But by the way, a lot of the constituents, I'm sure, know the way around the Capitol by now. So if you haven't figured that out, it should be an interesting view. So Mark, we look forward to having you again on next week, and any other guests that you may suggest. And as Alex has said, we are open to your idea. I can invite anybody. The question is, are we big enough to attract big talent to come on the program? And I was talking to my buddy Craig Shoemaker, who was a past guest, who's a comedian of reputation from Philadelphia in L.A., and he's a touring, legit comedian. Can he rattle the chain of some of his actor friends or musicians to come on the program? Who's the guy that had the first podcast, Alex, on a regular basis? He was like one of the first guys to do it. Used to be on that show, The Man Show.
Oh, well, it was. I got to think. Well,
if I can't remember his name, there's no way he's going to get invited.
My
brain fart. Yes, welcome to get older.
This morning at all. Geez, well, I'll have to think about that.
And yeah, whoever it is, he knows him. They go on tour together. So, and I was like, well, do you think we could get him on the program? So I don't see why not. The question, would he come on? Now, Craig gave me a little bit of shit when he saw how many followers we had when we had him on the show, 6 months ago? He's like, wow, thanks for bringing us on when you've got 82 followers on the show. Maybe my time could be better spent somewhere else. So maybe those some of the. On the other hand, we've had some very, very important people in the music and radio industry come on this show and tell us some great stuff. Philadelphia, what is it? Philadelphia radio page, whatever it is, from the Philadelphia on Facebook. They have a Facebook page. They linked back to our show with Lee Abrams, who was the guy that's been around doing AOR, album-oriented rock, one of the first guys to do it in Philadelphia, WMMR and WYSP, I believe it was, back in the day. And I rewatched the show, and it was a gem. So that's the other thing, is that we invite you to go back to some of our earlier shows. And, the production value got better as we went on, and maybe not so great back then. And Alex is doing a great job, because it's all Alex. Alex is doing all this stuff. And he can explain that another time exactly how we do it. But there's some very interesting comments and opinions being made, because radio is trying to survive under the world conditions that are going on right now. It's not doing as bad as everybody wants to make it out. It's not all negative. There's some positive stuff that's going on too. But we want to know what the next iteration of it is, and that's why we invite those guests. So if Ray Kurzweil wants to come on, I think he's gone. All the great pundits are gone.
Podcasts, we've talked about this before, Mitch. It's not just radio that is reconfiguring, but storytelling, audio, over the internet. That is also changing with podcasts too. There have been lots of podcast studios, that spent millions of dollars building these studios, hiring all this talent. They've shuttered too. So that's happened, and I think podcasts, it's really interesting because podcasts are still, if you compare it to terrestrial radio, is still really in its infancy, but so much has changed in the last 20 years, really, since podcasts first started.
Radio's been
So
around for
I think
over 100
people,
years, by the way.
I don't, right. And I don't know if it's that people are getting burnt out. Maybe they're spending more time on YouTube, but I think people's, as they tend to do over time and over the years, is people's interests and behaviors change. And we need to recognize that and adapt it. And frankly, that's one of the reasons why I've been investing a lot more time trying to figure out how YouTube works, because I'm a pretty late adopter to YouTube. And, would it be nice if we started this show, Mitch, on YouTube 15 years ago when there weren't that many people on that platform? We probably would be at 100,000 followers right now. So we'd have a much bigger audience, because now it is so much harder to get noticed because these platforms are so big and there's so much choice and so much content out there. How do you get noticed?
Well, I think the problem is in today's world, there are so many choices and things that vie for your time that I think our brains are ready to explode. I think collectively,
Right.
when you go
Too
through
much
your day,
choice.
do you have a routine? Do you have a specific routine that you follow throughout the day? Check your email, go watch a little TV, do some work, go watch a little more TV, check your Facebook. I mean, do you have a routine? Does anybody have a really interesting routine they would be willing to share with us? Because it literally is getting to be that. There's so many things. So maybe we'll need ChatGPT to be able to tell us what our schedule is for the day, how to spend our time.
I think we're getting a bit fried. You're absolutely right. And it's not just the choice of, 500,000 podcasts to listen to, but it is to all this different streaming service. And it seems like there's a new streaming service all the time. I've now got to, figure out how to split my time up between Netflix and Amazon Prime and Disney and Paramount and Peacock and HBO. And it's like, and on and on and on and on. There's too much choice. So
I'm
something's
getting ready
give.
to get rid of my Disney Plus, and now I find out there's another Star Wars spinoff in there with Jude Law in it. I think it's called Skeleton Crew. It's kind of a kids thing, but it's all right, and I enjoy watching it. Meanwhile, Paramount Plus is like cranking out these Taylor Sheridan, this writer that just writes all these unbelievable shows. He did like Yellowstone and other things. He's got Landman with Billy Bob Thornton and some beautiful women in it. If you haven't, they wrapped up
Tulsa King.
Last week.
Tulsa King is also really good with
it's okay.
Sylvester Stallone. I like
Got
it.
A little tired of
it's a fun show.
But I think Sly Stallone is saying, "Well, I had no idea this existed," or whatever else I pick on him the way he talks, and he's probably sick and tired of it anyhow. So how many other people are going to catch on and say, "Hey, streaming media is low-hanging fruit. Let's pick it. Let's go on there." So now there's going to be a bunch. But the thing of it is, it all gets down to telling a great story. And if it's well-crafted story, well-written, and well done, and there's a production value to it, I'll watch it. I don't care what it's about. Cowboys, no problem.
Sure.
Aliens on another planet, no problem. I'll watch them all, as long as it's done well.
Absolutely, I agree with you there. And just bringing in a comment from the chat too, the Stubborn Rock says first world problems. And I acknowledge that. Those are all our first world problems. But the thing is, we're talking about businesses that are struggling, and radio is struggling to keep listeners. And also these streaming platforms have a lot of churn. So it's not just, yes, we have a lot of choice and we're blessed to have all this choice too. But the thing is that also people need to be able to make money, and that's the problem. Is how do you make these businesses sustainable? How do you make radio sustainable in 2025? How do you make streaming sustainable? What about not just streaming content for video, but what about music streaming services that are not making a profit, and musicians are not really making that much money off of it? So how do you make this stuff sustainable too? There are a lot of problems here with all these different mediums.
And we may have, as of now, 151 subscribers. That doesn't mean that's how many people watch the show. It could be hundreds and hundreds. But, just because we're a small show with a small following doesn't mean that we may bring up something or postulate a situation where, hey, radio, you should try this. Great ideas can come from anywhere. They don't have to come from a YouTube podcast that has millions of viewers. It could come from one that has 2 or 3 people, or sitting in a room. It could be 2 people having a conversation. I invite you all to go back and watch the Lee Abrams episode of The Last Angry DJ. There was some, from a guy that really started a whole genre of radio format, there were some ideas that were being raised by Alex, maybe on a lesser so for myself, with Lee, who was like, those are pretty good ideas. It's interesting to watch them. So if you're a radio person that either is a consumer of radio or a programmer of radio, that usually small radio people are able to do this, meaning they have the ability to make these decisions, because the big boys, all the decisions are being made in corporate headquarters somewhere with a bunch of people sitting in a smoke-filled room. So the point I'm trying to make is that there are some great ideas that are being floated out there that can be done. And whether it's ChatGPT or AI or music on demand or whatever the heck it is, there's going to be some combination of ideas that are going to come together and help radio reinvent itself. One of those ideas that we talk about often, that Mark Giuliani feels strongly about, Mukana, saying Mukana provides a direct communication link to whoever is on the air speaking or programming, just as we do. And if you don't know what it's about, where can you go just to learn about Mukana in general? There's no real handbook for it. We have a Mukana page that you can go to on Sundays. But is there somebody has a YouTube how-to? I know Office Hours invented it, and I think it's another one of those magic pixie dust things for broadcasting. It might change.
No, I don't think
business.
so. It's just we explain it to the public that it is just it's a Q&A system, and you can put your questions in. They get answered live on the show. The cool thing about it is that you can vote on questions. So whether you can vote up or down a question. So that really tells us how you actually feel about that particular topic, whether or not you want us to focus on something. Of course, there's also chat in there too. I think it's a great tool that works at a larger scale probably than what we are at. But no, there's no video that really explains it. It's not really a public tool just yet. So, but we're very fortunate to use it right now and work it into the show.
Yeah, we have to thank our friends at Office Hours, and specifically Alex Lindsay, for one of the inventors of Mukana, for allowing us to use it for the show. I think it's an underutilized thing that could be, so we're experimenting with it. And what better place to do it in a small show like this, where the consequences of failure are, hey, look, even Elon Musk blows up a rocket once in a while. I know I've used that analogy once in a while, but he says it's a learning experience. So let's blow up a few things and see how we can learn from it. And that's important to the future progress of this Discord, as we call it. So there's Discord. There's our website, which is thelastangrydj.com. There's the Discord page that Alex, and you have to pop up that QR code so people know that there it is. So people know how to be able to involve themselves with that. And you can just do it on YouTube. If you're really super lazy like I am, you can go onto YouTube when we do the live show. Are there any new questions popping in here, or other people that raised their hands, Alex?
Not at the moment. Not at the moment.
Okay.
I think we answered all the ones or brought in everybody that had a comment so far.
We got to bring John Preto on, because John has a lot to say about a lot of things, and he's not doing videos, so it'll have to be audio only. So we'll get some like goofy picture of him. You know. Have you noticed that everybody's avatar is always like a super young version of themselves, except for you, Alex? But like mine,
you know what?
is like
we could get
years old.
Midjourney or ChatGPT to make a funky animated version of John Preto.
Yeah, remember Clutch Cargo?
Let's see what it comes up with.
The cartoon series I used to have, it was a still picture, and they superimposed the guy's mouth that was saying the dialogue. So he'd be like this, and his mouth would be moving, saying, "I don't think so. Hey, Clutch." We could do it like that. So, John, help us out on that, because if we have to decide to do it, it's going to be something hilarious. If you do it, it'll be something important. So that's what we have on our mind right now. TikTok being off the air. Is it on yet? I think Laura was telling. Laura, did you check to see if TikTok is back on yet? Because I think they had a disclaimer message up there. I don't know if Laura is looking at it, or if she has something to say about it.
I have no way of knowing, because I'm in Canada. I still got
that's
it.
right. Well, if you'll put up with me just for a second, I'm going to go over here and do it the old-fashioned way, and put it.
So
It's
yeah,
TIK.
TIK. And Mitch, is it so it's gone from the what? So here's the thing: they removed it from the App Store, but what happens if you already have the app installed? Does it say you can't use it?
TikTok is back, so I don't know what problems they
It's
solved.
back.
It's no longer being blocked here.
Well, that's interesting.
So there you go.
What happened? So what
And
happened
as far
there?
as the
I
app
haven't-
goes, I don't know because I don't use it as an app. I don't really use it that much. But it's if you go to TikTok.com, there it is. So what are you going to do?
Interesting.
So I think it was a bit of a PR move to say, well, we're going to take it away from you for a while and then see how everybody reacts. And that was as of today, Sunday. So if it's back now, then it's back. So what are you going to do? I have another theory that you can't keep things from something that people want, you know? And as much as here I go on that third rail, as much as we talk about how bad the Chinese are and they do this and they're evil people and I'm paraphrasing here. If the people want it, they're going to find a way to get it. And I don't think we pick on the governments of other countries for blocking certain sites here in the United States because it's not in the best interest politically or otherwise for their constituents. Well, guess what? If TikTok goes, we're doing the same thing they're doing. So,
Mitch, I just learned something new, and I actually wasn't aware of this, that in November, so actually the Canadian government, the app doesn't affect Canada, but I'm reading an article here from the Associated Press saying that TikTok filed back in November, they issued an order to dissolve TikTok's Canadian business after a national security review of ByteDance. So that's interesting. I was not aware of that.
Right. So what can happen in Canada might be a different story here in the U.S. They may try something in Canada first, and then it comes to the U.S. I mean, the world is really shrunk down. That's the thing to keep in mind is that things that happen elsewhere in the world affect everybody everywhere all at the same time. Not like in the old days when it didn't cross oceans and seas and things like that. If somebody sneezes in Beijing, somebody's going to say Gesundheit in Canada or England. And if somebody sneezes because they got some kind of virus that escaped a here I go, third rail again.
And to quote, I love quoting Marshall McLuhan about the quote unquote the global village that we are.
Yeah.
Because really, technology like the internet has really afforded us the ability to bring everyone closer together. It's a big planet with a lot of people on it, but it's amazing how small the world feels now with social media and with the internet.
Yeah, it's not 6 degrees of separation the way they used to say. I mean, the fact that I'm having a conversation here with my friend Alex, who's in Port Coquitlam near Vancouver in Canada, just as if he's next door. I used to be concerned when I made long distance phone calls out of state because you could spend thousands of dollars making these kind of phone calls back in the early days. Nowadays, nothing like that. So the world is smaller, and what affects one part of the world affects other parts of the country or world. So it's just something to keep in mind. Something else to be paranoid about when your head hits the pillow late at night, or you get that urge to jump up to see what's going on Facebook, and you can't help yourself, whatever you're going on. Another great show. Good conversation. A lot of good input from our friends out there that watch the program. And there's a bunch of people that help make this happen. And this is when we try to give them credit where credit is due. Right, Alex?
Yeah, absolutely. I just want to first thank Boinks Software, the people that make Mimo Live, the application that runs this whole show, which affords us to do this incredible production that you see here. We're now live streaming in 4K, which I love. I think the show looks the best that's ever looked. So thank you to all, and specifically Oliver Breinbach from Boinks Software, who's been integral, who's worked with me over many months of tweaking things and exposing me to things that I didn't know Mimo Live could do, and really has been an incredible resource to help me just make the most out of this production. And I'm learning stuff all the time. So if you're looking for something new, I really recommend checking out Mimo Live if you haven't yet, because, man, it is an incredible piece of software. And, of course, to everyone that's on the crew, including Mark Giuliani, who's helping us out with Mukana, And also Laura Thompson on the back end as well, who is managing Mukana and questions today and keeping people in the loop on chat. So we really appreciate you and your contributions and what you do on the show. And of course, everyone, if you want to follow this show, if you're not on YouTube, I would encourage you to subscribe to the show on YouTube. If you prefer the audio version of this podcast, you can get it wherever you find podcasts. Just look up The Last Angry DJ. We're available on Apple, Google, TuneIn, Stitcher. You can ask your smart device to play our podcast, and it should work, I believe. We're also on, I think we're on iHeartRadio as well. So we're across all of those platforms, and we really appreciate your support as well.
Yeah, and Laura reports back that the TikTok website is back. So at least in Texas, it's back. If it's there, it's probably in the rest of the country, and it's always been on in Canada. It didn't change at all. And looking forward to our next week's guest, our good friend Rob Akampora, who has a program called The A Game. I finally got it right. The A-Team TV show, A Game. He's been podcasting for a long time, and we'll have Rob on here to talk about the success of his podcast. I'd love to have another podcaster on a podcasting show because we get to learn a lot of stuff that we're still trying to pick up. I knew Rob when he was a DJ at the local radio station I worked at, so that should be fun. And if you have any ideas of people you'd like to see come on our program, again, follow the normal instructions that Alex gives you. Check us out on Mukana, on YouTube, go to our website, any one of those places. Give us a suggestion because everybody knows somebody. So let's engage that 6 degrees of separation and make this a better community just by sharing that information. So with that, we're going to say goodbye to show number 47. We have show 50 coming up very soon, so that should be cool. I know Alex is cooking up something important for that, so maybe we'll have a review or we'll show bloopers, something fun and entertaining. Look forward to seeing you then. In the meantime, be safe. Go Eagles, and watch out for that weather on the east coast of the U.S.